Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews and welcome back to the Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective reviews. With today going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. So let's get into it here. So yes, this is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, the retrospective review. I just posted my Part 1, the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie, so you can go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. And if you are new to the channel, you like these types of retrospective reviews, especially for my boy Freddy Krueger. We've got Michael Myers, Halloween that we've done Saw, we've done Ghostface, so lots of Halloween horror movies we have retrospective reviews on. So if you do like that type of content, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Now with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 coming out a year later, I believe it was, I'll be completely honest with you, it's sort of a little bit of a step down compared to Part 1, just because we'll dive into everything as we're talking about the movie itself. However, the third act is very, very enjoyable here, but like I said, they've got the balance of the dream sequences and the live action stuff really well handled. So with the opening sequence, you start off with these kids, or teenagers I would say, on the school bus. They're getting dropped home. You come to the last three where you come to find out the main character Jesse, and these two girls are left on the bus. The driver misses the stop for one of the girls and ends up just speeding away, ends up in this desert where these floors just start disintegrating around them, leaving them with a couple of collars to leave the bus standing. And the driver turns around and it's revealed to be Freddy Krueger going after these kids, and then all of a sudden you just get this scream coming from upstairs. You see this family in the kitchen, same kitchen as Nancy's house from the previous movie, the first movie. So we come to find out that that guy on the bus, is the main character we're going to be following, who's called Jesse, in a really small tighty-whitey. So as the movie is progressing, we sort of go back and forth when it comes to the dream sequences and the live action real life scenarios. But with the real life scenarios, we're sort of just following Jesse, how he is when it comes to his school life, when it comes to his home life. Long story short, when it comes to his school life, at first he was getting bullied by this guy named Grady, where they were playing baseball. He ends up pulling his trousers, showing his very pale ass in front of the whole school. They end up tussling. The teacher puts them in push-ups. That's when they start getting close to one another, to the point where, like, towards the end of the movie, Grady's allowing him to sleep over at his own house. In terms of the family dynamic, you've just got the dad just being so relaxed about everything, just nonchalant. You've got like the toaster with fire coming out of it even though it wasn't plugged in. You've got the parrot exploding in front of him, and he's just, like I said, just nonchalant about everything when it comes to it, always thinking that there's just a reasonable explanation to it, because of course, why would you? But Grady tells Jesse about the house that they're living in, about Nancy and the events that took place in the previous movie. So Jesse does start falling asleep and does start interacting with Freddy. So at first he sees Freddy in the boiler room, is holding the door to the basement, thinking that is an intruder, so he's getting his dad to try and sort this out, only for Freddy to confront him, have some words with him, and ends up showing him his own brain to freak him out, which results in Jesse waking up. And so as Jesse's learning about Freddy Krueger, he's learning about the house that he's living in. He finds Nancy's book where she kind of reveals everything that happened in the first movie, and he finds Freddy's claws, like his knife gloves that he wears, where we come to find out that Freddy is wanting Jesse to be the killer for him. Now, to be honest with you, I wasn't really a fan of that aspect or that direction that they were going to go with, having somebody else do the killing for Freddy. I feel like Freddy is more of the person that torments you and kills you off slowly, because that's what he feeds on, rather than wanting an apprentice, like some John Kramer type shit. So Jesse feels like he's going crazy, he's going mad. He ends up going to this bar. Now, I don't really know what you would call this type of bar. It's not just a regular bar that you would go to, and he ends up finding the teacher, the one that punished him, to making him do push-ups earlier in the movie, this hard case teacher. And for some reason, this teacher is making Jesse go to the school to do run around, do laps, and go take a shower. Like, I don't know, growing up in the UK, if like a teacher in the middle of like the night sees you at a bar, he'll offer you to buy you drinks, to be honest with you. Like, that's the kind of thing that I experienced growing up with like me and my friends. So I don't know if it's completely different in the US. Plus this is like back in the 80s, so I honestly don't know. But the teacher sends him to the school to go do laps, ends up taking a shower, only for the teacher to end up getting tied to the showers using these like jumping ropes. His clothes get ripped off, and then the towels just start whipping him right on his arse, and the claws just start scratching his back. We think it's Freddy Krueger, but then it actually is revealed to be Jesse is the one that done it, which again, like I said, just not really a fan of like that direction. So then the next day, all the school kids are talking about it. Grady is telling Jesse that the teacher has died in the showers. So that's when we're moving towards the third act now. So you've got this big party. The girl that Jesse likes, Lisa, sorry, her name was. So she is the one that's trying to been helping Jesse throughout the whole movie, trying to investigate, trying to see what's going on there. She takes him to this room, I believe it was a shed or something like that. They start making out, only for Freddy Krueger's lizard tongue to start appearing, and just again the tongue game showing up once again, licking her face. My God, this guy's tongue, which causes Jesse to freak out and end up going to Grady's house. So that's what I was mentioning once again. So these two ended up just bickering in the beginning of the movie. Now they're like best friends basically. So Jesse is telling Grady to make sure that if he does fall asleep, to wake him up straight away in case anything freaky happens. And that's where you get this messed up sequence where you see Jesse being transformed into Freddy in like a disturbing way, like Freddy's head's coming out of like Jesse's chest. He ends up seeing Freddy Krueger right there in person, and that's where Grady is freaking out. His door is locked. He's trying to call for his dad. Freddy ends up like slicing him, killing Grady, but then you see this scene of Jesse looking in the mirror. His reflection is now Freddy Krueger. So you've kind of got this implication that Freddy is taking control of Jesse, which again, direction not that huge fan of, but it comes to find out that in everybody's eyes, Jesse is the one that actually killed Grady, his friend. So he's being pinned, similar to like the first movie with Rod. Jesse is the one that's being pinned for this murder. So he ends up running to Lisa's house, trying to explain or trying to freak out in front of Lisa. Freddy Krueger ends up making the whole house go batshit crazy, like the hot dogs catch on fire, the cans just start bursting, the swimming pool starts bubbling and heating up, just everything is going haywire. Freddy Krueger ends up returning. He's chasing after Lisa. Lisa ends up trying to fight him off, and Freddy Krueger just does this amazing entrance to the backyard, and it just ends up killing a couple of teens. One teen is trying to reason with him, with again Freddy Krueger throwing out some brilliant lines, ends up killing this teen. And that's when you've got the biggest hero of the whole franchise, Lisa's dad, trying to be the hero with this gun, trying to aim at Freddy Krueger, only to end up shooting the crisps or the chips and not even going anywhere near Freddy whatsoever. The funny thing is, this guy has a whole bunch of guns in his closets, but his aim is absolutely appalling. He's pretty much got the same aim as some stormtroopers in Star Wars, but I digress here. So then we get to sort of like the last part of the movie, the final confrontation, and to be honest with you, it's not a stronger confrontation because you've got Lisa versus Freddy in this boiler room sequence once again. But in order for Lisa to defeat Freddy, she kind of, because like you've got Jesse and Freddy basically blending as one, and you sort of have Lisa tell Freddy or Jesse how much she loves him, how much she cares for him, and that just sort of weakens Freddy. She ends up even kissing Freddy Krueger, and he starts melting away, his body's melting, and then you come to find out that Jesse was inside Freddy, and you reveal Jesse's body there, essentially saving Jesse and killing off Freddy at the same time, which again, like I said, just feels very, very weak. Like, I know the whole first movie with the whole third act and then the defeat to Freddy was just a bit of, oh, I don't think you're scary or anything like that, beating Freddy, but I prefer that over this one where, because like I said, the direction of having Jesse and Freddy working as one really wasn't something that I was fully invested in. However, it's kind of worked for the story that they were going for. So Freddy's dead, Jesse's alive, Lisa has her love of her life, or the love of her life that she's met after like a couple of weeks or months or however long they've been together. So they're reunited, and then you get the final sequence, the final scene of the movie, basically going back to the whole beginning of the movie with the school bus there. Jesse and Lisa and one of their friends is there. Jesse's freaking out because he thinks the bus is going too fast, only to come to find out that he's just freaking out that Freddy Krueger's dead, only to see Freddy Krueger's hand coming out of like one of the girls' chest, and the school bus speeding into the same desert that we saw in the opening sequence, with Freddy's laugh in the background, ending the movie itself. Now, like I mentioned, the movie, not as strong as the first one. There were some great elements to it, because as you're comparing it to the final girl, I would say, or the final like victim, you've got, I guess you could call Lisa as the final girl, but again, not really like focusing too much on her as you're focusing on Jesse becoming Freddy, only to then be defeating Freddy. So it just, overall, it feels like an okay movie, not a great follow-up to the first one. It had a lot of potential, but it just wasn't wasted. In terms of the kills, for me, the only memorable one would be Grady's kill, I guess you could say. But other than that, not a lot of like memorable kills versus the first movie. But it's still an enjoyable movie nonetheless here. So that about wraps it up for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below if you have seen the movie. Do you enjoy it? Are you a fan of like the whole Jesse, Freddy Krueger storyline? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And once again, if you do like this type of content, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button so that you're not missing out on these types of videos and in the future of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise here. But I want to thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This is YK Reviews.